So, one incident was I was sitting at church, and here I'm a 4-year-old boy. I'm gonna really pay attention, right? I'm over there playing, and all of a sudden I hear this loud bang in the back, and it's these couple of cops that are just they slam the door, and they're just drunk, and they're yelling obscenities and all this other stuff. And so I get up to see what's going on, and they're sit down, just play this one, play that one. And everybody, really scared there because we're in an underground church. We're not supposed to really have a church. And they finally said, we don't like this. So they look at each other, they go over there, and they go to the piano player, and they break his fingers. And the violinist, they break his arms. And as they're doing that, they're laughing. And I mean, who are we going to tell? We're going to go to the local police station and say, hey, we were having church, and these guys did this to us? No. So all kinds of things like that went on. Yes, sir.
Do you know who arranged your escape?
We believe it was a joint effort. My dad obviously had made some friends in the political system. The people that like that doctor that became a believer. There was a lot of friends that he made in there. But also, my dad spoke a lot on Radio Free Europe. That was another reason why the Romanian government was trying to kill him. And so, my understanding was that it was the American government funds from Radio Free Europe and some people in the political system that, because you got to understand, especially by 1989, they had enough. But a lot of these people were only communists just so they wouldn't be killed. And so they did whatever they could to help people, but I don't know. My understanding is it was a joint effort by the three groups. Yes, ma'am.
You said you had sponsors when you came over and everything.
Yes.
How do you feel about immigration to this country now, where it's just...
I could actually talk about that longer than I did about this right here. I can look at each one of us, and we all didn't come from the same part of the world. We've all come here as immigrants. But what really, I think, bothers me as an immigrant is that I didn't come here. My dad did all the work. But we actually had to give up our citizenship as Romanians. It wasn't up until 2003 I was actually without a country. I wasn't an American citizen, and I wasn't a Romanian citizen. So in order to leave a communist country, we had to do that. We got a sponsor before we set foot on American soil. My dad had a job within a week before we got into the United States. And it was the Romanian churches there, and it wasn't just our denomination. There was the Romanian Orthodox. It was an amalgamation of churches that helped us get here. So that's another thing, is that it's private sponsorship or private people that are helping each other that works. It's not the government that works, because technically we are supposed to be the government. So it really bothers me, and I lived in LA. I grew up there, and I saw a lot of that stuff. And in fact, I'll give you another thing that happened to me. I was throughout from about 6th or 7th grade on up until I graduated. They would pull me out of class so I can translate for the kids. And they would put me in the ESL room. And the kids that were Spanish speaking, they taught them math, science, American history, and Spanish. I didn't hear them teaching them in English. What did I do when the Romanian kids go in? They weren't being taught math. They weren't being taught any other subject except for me teaching them English. I lost out on my education. These kids lost out on their education because at the time, back in Europe, they're 3-4, classes more advanced. Here they're in 9th grade and he's doing trigonometry, So they're more advanced. So it's a real sore subject with me, because if you're going to come here, you do things the right way, because it wasn't just our family as immigrants that had done things the right way. It was immigrants for hundreds of years have done it here in the United States the right way. So, anytime the government wants to say it's a humanitarian thing. Well, guess what? As a 4-year-old boy, I had a gun to me. Where was the humanitarian help there? We all have our own story, but we all need to do things the right way.
Where are your brothers and sisters now?
My baby brother is in the Marine Corps. He's in the Marine Corps, and I'm not sure if he's done at least he's done 2 tours in Afghanistan and 3 in Iraq. So I think he's in Camp Pendleton right now. But I did visit him when he was here in Lejeune, North Carolina. My brother above him, interesting story. He's actually a missionary now in Madagascar.
Oh,
Yeah, and the neat part about it is he met a missionary there that was Romanian that was sent from Romania to Madagascar. So now they're, he's got, it's just cool. There. And my little brother has never, he was the first one born here, so he's never stepped on Romanian soil. So for him to be, a pastor out there as a missionary, it was just the coolest thing to see, now that he's got his best friend out there is a Romanian-born citizen.
wow.
And then my sister Tina, she lives in Houston. She's married to a Vietnamese guy. Great kids. My sister Marcella, her husband is finally better now. He was fighting cancer, but they live in Upland, California. My brother Ben lives in Orange County. I'm after Ben. My sister Daniela lives in, I think, Richardson, Texas. My brother Marcel lives in Portland, Oregon. My sister lives in Portland, Oregon. My oldest sister also she actually lives across the river from Portland in Washington. I'm trying to remember the name. But she lives in Washington State.
Spokane?
No, not Spokane. They're just across the Columbia River. But she lives over there. And then my other 3 brothers live in Southern California. So they're all over the country.
Wow.
Yes.
I think what you needed the note cards for was where every brother and sister are.
That's the one I couldn't find. Yes, ma'am.
So you believe it's really important to have English language immersion and then to assimilate without necessarily giving up your culture and your beliefs, but to have assimilate.
That's exactly what it was, and that's how my dad was. He says, inside the house, you speak Romanian. I didn't go to school there, but the way I learned it was he had me read the Romanian Bible. Outside the house, you are in America. You are an American. You will learn English. You will do everything, and if you want to learn other languages, fine. So yes, and that was the thing. We have to, as immigrants, we come here and we assimilate into this culture. If we were to all immigrate to Germany, if we wanted to get something done, we'd have to learn German.
That's right.
So I completely agree with you. If they're gonna come here, and most of them do. Most of them do. I used to work with an electrician in California, and he was German, and he was just so excited about being here in the United States. And I had left that job because I went into teaching. I taught college for 2 years, and he's like, "How can you be a teacher? You're an electrician." I'm like, "No, man, this is America. I can do whatever I want." And he says, my dad was an electrician. My grandfather was an electrician. I'm an electrician. That's the way it is in Germany. Well, guess what, buddy? Welcome to the good old land of the USA. And that's what I love about the United States. You can do whatever you put yourself to. I mean, the Rockefellers, he was a billionaire all his life. He started somewhere too. There's a lot of things I don't like what he did, but that's not the point. Where other country can you do stuff like that? Only the United States. Any other questions?
So you have lived the American dream.
I have a few times. I've been homeless a couple of times.
Wow.
And it wasn't the government that helped me. In fact, I went to the government and they turned me down because I was a white male that didn't have children living at home.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Can you still speak Romanian?
I speak it fluently, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Just do a quick line, because I never
Say
heard.
hello or something.
Happy New Year.
Would you mind?
Numele meu este Ion Boleanu. Yes, Roger. My name is Jan Beliano, you're Roger.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
But, yeah, no, it was in Texas. It was the Highway 80 Rescue Mission. And I couldn't find a job in California for 5 months, but I had just left Texas for training. And when I was on the radio, I heard, Texas's economy, or Texas is carrying 30% of the U.S. economy. So I says, well, and my brother was, him and his girl he met were going to move out here, and I was going to stay with them until I got on my feet. Long story short, he turned on me, and by the time the plane landed, they took all my money, and I was living in a shelter for 6 weeks until about a week after I got into Texas. I got a job with a chemical company, and within 3 months, I had my own apartment and car and stuff like that. But it wasn't because the government helped me. It was because the rescue mission helped me. They gave me 3 meals in a cot. And I was living with gang members. I was living with people that you don't want to walk down the street. These people, some of them were psychotic. It was a room about twice as big as this with 75 men. But the American dream allows that to happen, allows people that have been knocked down to get back up. Been knocked down, get back up. And that's what I love about this country. So, and all these liberals can throw whatever they want at me. They can throw immigration at me, they can throw welfare at me, and I've got a story for each one of those and say, no sir, it don't work that way.
That's right.
Because when I was there at the shelter in Texas, I know you invited me for the Romania thing, but
No, right ahead.
I just want to hear.
but I would leave at 7 in the morning because you'd wake up at 6. They'd wake you up at 6, and you'd have to remove your sheet and everything. And then at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'd go, and when I found my job, I was walking 9 miles one way, not 9 miles back. East Texas is not as cold as it is here, but it got down to, 20, 22 degrees. But the same guys, and these were able-bodied men that I'd see them watching the big screen TV, that I saw at 7 in the morning were sitting probably in the same chair or a few chairs over, and they were watching TV. And I'm like, whatever. I can't control them, but I can control myself.
That's right.
Now, when my tax dollars are going to them doing that, but it wasn't. It was a private organization, so, it just happened. But- Any other questions?
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.